admired, respected, or listened to will repeat your... Anytime I start talking,
We may have been gone for a while, but we're back and as good as ever. The contentious debates surrounding Trump's dementia are about to be plunged into full force. Comparable to attempting to capture a cloud in a net, it is bizarre, intriguing, and undeniably random. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, because this rabbit hole just got a lot deeper. Trump's cognitive decline has become a comedic saga of epic proportions, where every speech is a potential Sharknado sequel waiting to happen. As the media grapples with how to report on Trump's mental state, one thing remains clear: in the theater of politics, reality often outstrips even the wildest fiction.
look, he can't campaign, he can't speak. So we call it migrant crime. I came up with that name because I come up with a lot of good names. You see Maduro, Venezuela, it's unbelievable. Is going to the border, doing a show. Sean Hannity, good man, Sean Hannity. We'll demolish the deep state. We will expel
The mainstream media is finally catching on to Trump's cognitive decline at the age of 78. His brain is straight gnocchi at this point, quipped senior Trump aide Jason Miller.
Tuesday, Michigan total was a record. Like, ding, boom, this is me. I hear, bing.
As Trump's schedule lightens, he's increasingly prone to wandering into long, disjointed, stream of consciousness tirades, giving off a drunken uncle vibe during speeches, according to Matthew Foster from American University. Foster suggests Trump's erratic behavior could be a sign of age catching up, making it harder for him to control impulses that veer into unforeseen territory, especially for someone as naturally impulsive as Trump. Despite Trump's efforts to set the bar for competence lower than a limbo pole in quicksand, his cognitive slips are becoming impossible to ignore.
This week, mental health expert and expert in dementia, Dr. John Gartner, gave an interview to an attorney for their Substack, where Gartner laid out 4 specific, I guess we'd call them symptoms, that Donald Trump has exhibited over the last few years that could be... I'm going to go through these point by point. So here they are. First, Gartner explained, Trump has shown a, quote, decline from baseline since he first announced his run for the presidency in 2015. He argued that while the 45th president of the United States used...
Susan Glasser from The New Yorker discusses how Trump's mental deterioration manages to evade scrutiny, contrasting sharply with the microscope under which President Biden's every word is examined. Eugene Robinson of The Washington Post wonders aloud if Trump is truly okay, especially after his bizarre hypothetical about being electrocuted on a sinking boat with a shark nearby.
Sovereign country for sovereign country and renoverse for renovations. And Gartner said,
Author and frequent Trump critic Stephen King mocked the former president's musings, likening them to listening to a senile uncle at the dinner table after one too many drinks. Even USA Today, with its tongue firmly in cheek, ponders why Biden isn't concerned about the grave threat of sharks and electric boats, contrasting with Trump's passionate if somewhat irrational concerns.
With, of course, Stormy Daniels, adult film actress who alleges she had an affair with Donald Trump and was reportedly paid to keep it quiet. She said while watching Shark Week with Trump, he told her, quote, I donate to all these charities and I would never donate to any charity that helps sharks. I hope all the sharks die.
Trump's fixation on sharks, famously recounted by Stormy Daniels, who described him as both obsessed and terrified, adds a surreal twist to the narrative. The media's coverage of Trump's electric shark dilemma only scratches the surface of the loose marbles rattling around in his shrinking brain. His repeated tales of near electrocution at sea are becoming as infamous as a lousy karaoke performance at a family reunion.
Never reports the crowds, you know. By the way, they never report the crowd on January 6th. You know, Nikki Haley, you know, did you know they destroyed all of the information, all of the evidence, everything? Deleted and destroyed all of it, because of lots of things, like Nikki Haley is in charge of security.
Former President Donald Trump, in a rally twist reminiscent of a confused GPS, managed to veer off course into a verbal maze where GOP rival Nikki Haley was mistaken for Representative Nancy Pelosi. Picture Trump's speech as a wild roller coaster ride through a funhouse of political mix-ups. With all the gusto of a chef confusing salt for sugar, Trump passionately claimed, "Nikki Haley, do you know they destroyed all the evidence? Everything. Because of lots of things like Nikki Haley in charge of security." It's like watching someone trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle with pieces from different board games.
Election in the United States, country, even Argentina, they went MAGA. You know Argentina, great.
NBC News is on the case, reaching out for comment, probably expecting a response as elusive as a unicorn in a parade of elephants. Trump's claim that Pelosi turned down 10,000 soldiers on January 6th was swiftly debunked, like a bubble popping in a hot air balloon race. The January 6th committee's final report waved a red flag, stating, "No evidence here, folks."
We won an election that everyone said couldn't be won.
Trump's mix-up machine doesn't discriminate. It's famously mashed up Biden with Obama in past speeches as if playing a high-stakes game of political bingo. He once waved and said hello to Sioux Falls in South Dakota while actually being in Sioux City, Iowa. A geographical hiccup worthy of a comedic sketch. While Trump turns verbal acrobats into a campaign sport, Biden's occasional slip-ups are more like finding out your GPS wants to take you on a scenic route through a cornfield instead of your actual destination. Like when he asked about Representative Jackie Walorski months after her passing. Oops, talk about awkward timing.
You know this, right? The Biden border bill. I'm thrilled to be back in the beautiful Virginia. We went to the last Tuesday.
In the end, amidst all the political banter and mix-ups, one thing's clear. If speeches were a dance, Trump's moves would definitely be a mashup of salsa and breakdancing with a sprinkle of interpretive tap thrown in for good measure.
Criticism of Trump privately, to me, took on a different tone. This is after he leaves the White House. He believed Trump was suffering from early-stage dementia and that there was a real possibility he would be removed from office by the 25th Amendment, where the cabinet could vote that the president was no longer mentally capable of carrying out his duties.
Steve Bannon once thought Trump was on a cruise to early-stage Dementiaville and secretly plotted a 25th Amendment overthrow, according to a TV producer spilling the tea. Ira Rosen spilling even more tea in his new memoir, Ticking Clock, Behind the Scenes at 60 Minutes, spilled to the Skullduggery podcast that Bannon was all in on the idea that Trump might be too cuckoo for his presidential duties. Bannon even texted, "Hey, let's do that 25th Amendment thing. Trust me, bro, I'm never wrong."
You can't force the guy. But, he had laid out the record at that time. I mean, this was a period of time when he had great frustrations with Trump. Trump was kind of, throwing him under the bus a little bit in terms of, there was a new Time magazine.
This whole 25th Amendment saga was hotter than a stolen Ferrari throughout Trump's time in office, especially after the Capitol riot on January 6th when Trump tried to flip the election results like a pancake. But instead of invoking the 25th, they went with Plan B, impeaching Trump, twice. Rosen dished that Bannon's extensive CBS interview was like a fireworks show of political drama, but it skipped the 25th Amendment gossip. Apparently, Bannon was saving that spicy dish for right-wing donor Rebecca Mercer.
Was repeating the same stories over and over again. There was a David Brooks column that had been written in the New York Times that said Republican senators went to see Trump in the White House and they were hearing him repeat himself, and they realized he may be suffering from early-stage dementia. Nevertheless, they gave him a standing ovation.
Bannon was more frustrated than a cat trying to herd squirrels, Rosen said, noting Trump kept throwing him under the bus, especially after Bannon's infamous Time magazine interview. And Bannon wasn't just blowing smoke. He'd often quote David Brooks from the New York Times, who hinted back in 2017 that some White House guests thought Trump might be slipping into Alzheimer's territory.
Tuesday, Bannon said the president had no attention span, didn't read and now doesn't. He said Trump repeats himself a lot, telling the same story minutes after he told it before.
So, while Trump still reigns as the GOP's 2024 sweetheart, Bannon's 25th Amendment dreams were like a roller coaster ride through a swamp. Thrilling, messy, and ultimately not how he planned to spend his Sundays. Curious about how Trump's dementia is sparking debate among top psychologists? Stay tuned as we unravel the insights in our next segment.
Are clear signs of dementia. The Dementia Care Society said that when people have dementia, they begin to confuse people and generations. Not names and dates, people and generations.
So talk a little bit about the difference. So, and we can maybe talk through some examples. You know, with regard to Joe Biden, there was this moment a few weeks ago.
Meanwhile, John Gartner, a psychologist and former professor at Johns Hopkins University Medical School, has defended Biden's forgetfulness as a natural sign of his age, but authored a petition that argues Trump is showing unmistakable signs strongly suggesting dementia.
Because one sign of cognitive decline is a lack of awareness that you have cognitive decline. When you are making these mistakes, you don't correct yourself because you're not aware you've made a mistake. Okay. Whereas I think a lot of these name situations, oh no, of course, sorry, the other one, you immediately, he shows no awareness of that. And so that's actually part of, ironically.
He wrote at the start of March that the former president showed progressive deterioration in memory, thinking, ability to use language, behavior, and both gross and fine motor skills, adding that he felt an ethical obligation to warn the public and urge the media to cover this national emergency.
Dr. Lance Dodds, a supervising analyst emeritus of the Boston Psychoanalytic Society and Institute and retired Harvard Medical School professor, was among those recently quoted by Duty to Warn. Quote, unlike normal aging, characterized by forgetting names,
there's a swirling storm of speculation among medical health pros led by the likes of Dr. Lance Dodds, suggesting that Donald Trump might be wandering into the foggy realm of dementia. They're pointing to moments where Trump seems to mix up his presidential history like a buffet line, confusing Obama with Biden and leaving everyone scratching their heads.
He would have to immediately be removed from office via the 25th Amendment as dangerously unable to fulfill the responsibilities of office, writes Dodds, who's also a distinguished fellow of the American Academy of Addiction Psychiatry. In another statement put out at the same time,
Dr. Dodds, a retired brainiac from Harvard, and the Duty to Warn crew are waving red flags, hinting that if Trump were to dust off his Oval Office chair again, we might need a 25th Amendment timeout to figure out if he's still got all the marbles.
Like you'll go person, woman, man, camera.
On the flip side, Trump's cheerleaders led by Jason Miller are pumping up his cognitive prowess like a hype man at a boxing match. They're quick to highlight Trump's stellar performance on cognitive tests. Apparently, he's aced them so many times, he's thinking of putting them on his resume.
So I said, yeah. So it's person, woman, man, camera, TV. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
This mental tug of war isn't new. Dr. Dodds and his squad were also behind the 2017 hit, The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump, where they first raised eyebrows about his mental agility during round one of his presidency. Now, with election season looming, they're back in the ring, swinging with claims and counterclaims about who's got the sharpest tools in the political shed.
Where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning?
Meanwhile, as Trump's verbal jousting continues, critics and pundits alike are dissecting every word he utters like it's the final puzzle piece in a giant game of Scrabble. It's all part of the larger conversation about whether age and experience are assets or liabilities in the highest office in the land.
House, congratulations. Your house just went down 75% in value. And they say the noise causes cancer. You told me that one, okay?
As we gear up for another round of political ping pong, one thing's for sure. The stakes are high, the comments are biting, and the popcorn's getting stale as we watch the drama unfold. Whether it's Trump, Biden, or anyone else eyeing the big seat, the mental fitness debate promises to be a roller coaster ride through the wilds of politics and psychology alike.
Has anyone ever seen The Silence of the Lambs? The late, great Hannibal Lecter is a wonderful man. He oftentimes would have a friend for dinner.
That was Republican frontrunner and convicted felon Donald Trump last month.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Trump's dementia. We hope you found our exploration thought-provoking. Keep questioning, stay curious, and remember to subscribe for more intriguing insights and discussions. See you in the next video.